Hey everyone, Tankenstein here. In this video, I've got your very first gameplay and overview straight from the Storm Warning dev server for the Rafale CF3. This is a currently rank 8 battle rating 13.7 fighter in the French Air Force's tech tree. As you can see here, sits at the end of the line with the Mirage 2005F. Now this vehicle is very interesting because this is something that a lot of people have been wanting for a very long time. Like, just look how beautiful it is, right? Now, apparently in real life, this did have some stealth considerations insofar as its design was concerned. For example, its air intakes, they were supposed to have some sort of objective with minimizing the radar cross-section of this aircraft. I'm not sure if that's going to impact how it is in War Thunder. I doubt it. I mean, I played this thing a few times. It still gets shot down plenty easy by radar-guided missiles, so it probably doesn't matter at all in War Thunder, or it's a very minimal sort of thing. Now, that said, let's go ahead and look at its weapons here, or its modifications. And as you can see, it's pretty well loaded when it comes to ground attack ordnance. It does have a Damocles targeting pod, and currently it also lacks IR guided missiles. We have the Mica EMs, which, if I'm not mistaken, are the best Fox 3s in War Thunder, at least as of current, which is really nice. But as of current, we also totally lack any sort of IR guided missiles, which really sucks. This thing could benefit from having, for example, Magic 2s, but we do not see that. Right now, we are kind of waiting to see if and when those happen. I believe they said in the dev stream that they would happen, but as of right now, they just aren't here. Otherwise, we have some guided weapons, the SBU 64, 38, and 54. These are brand new to War Thunder. These are basically rocket-assisted guided bombs, so kind of like ATGMs, but kind of not. These ones are IR and GPS guided. These ones are purely GPS guided, and these ones are laser and GPS guided. So pretty cool. I'm going to probably be using these ones because IR guidance is my favorite, but it is up to personal preference. Otherwise, you have your Damocles targeting pod and some standard paveways, dumb bombs, and other paveways down here. So that being said, let's go ahead and get into a few matches with this thing. Bear in mind, the performance here, everything that you see is totally changeable up to and even beyond the release of the patch on the live server. Also, this thing only has 144 countermeasures with a MAW system, which really makes me want to turn off the MAW system for this thing because that thing just wastes your countermeasures so damn quickly, but it is what it is. Also, if you guys want, definitely consider checking out my Typhoon FGR4 video because I do have gameplay of this, and let me tell you, it does feel a little bit better than the Mirage or than the Rafale, at least as of current, but you know, one could make an argument that this might be better just because of the Micas. So that said, let's get into a few matches and see how this thing does. So here we are with the Rafale, and I'm staying a little bit low. I've flown this thing, high to try to use my Fox 3s, but it just doesn't seem to want to work. Now, I've noticed that the speed on this vehicle is a touch slower than what you'd get on the Eurofighter Typhoon. Also, its top speed, near-ish to sea level, is lower than what you get on the Typhoon as well. Now, looking at the cockpit, like, look at this. It's just absolutely beautiful. They do such a good job when they actually want to. I mean, like, geez, man. The only thing is, it looks a little cramped in here, but I don't really think that's a function of Gaijin doing anything. But we also might have a missing texture, or somebody who likes arts and crafts and bought himself a green piece of paper. Now, with that said, this vehicle, I mean, it's gorgeous, but in my limited testing thus far, it seems to be just a hair under what you'd get with the Typhoon. So the performance, like the overall mobility or maneuverability is just about as good. Roll rate seems to be as good. Maneuverability, like turning, I think it's about as good. It might be like a half G less when it comes to sustained turning time, which I guess that might matter to some people, but at least in my somewhat limited experience with it thus far, it does seem to be a touch worse. So I'm going to go ahead and actually hide behind this. So I'm getting 12 Gs of overload here. Bear in mind, I am above Mach speed, which obviously is not going to help out my turning, but I was getting around 13 sustained with the whatchamacallit before the Typhoon. So I'm going to go ahead and launch one on him. Hopefully I can get that kill. And then we're just going to hopefully not die here. Going to launch one on him. And got my Micas. And we got ourselves a kill right there. Woo! Hell yeah, buddy! Not bad. There we go. But as you can see, I am all out of flares. All out of flares, which makes sense, being that I hardly have any flares. So, I mean, overall, again, I mean, like, thus far, I can tell you that this feels like a very good aircraft. It just doesn't feel quite as good, again, as what I had with the Typhoon. Like, just a touch lower. Like, basically, what I would expect to be, like, 0.3 VR lower, right? Nothing too much, but enough where you'd notice it. Hopefully I can get the kill. Okay, there we go. You know, like 13 Gs of overload. There we go. There we go. 13 Gs. That's pretty much, and then peak of 14. That's exactly what I was getting with the Eurofighter Typhoon. So maneuverability seems to be just about as good. Maybe a touch lower because I was hitting those speeds of overload, or those overload angles when I was going a little bit faster than I was with the Rafale, but it is what it is. I think it's still really good. Speed seems to be just about as good, not quite as good. Radar seems to be a bit worse on the Rafale, but not by a ton, but the missiles make up for it. So let's get into another match. So here we are in the second match with the Rafale, and some things to note here. The Mica missile is clipping into the aircraft, and this Mica missile just doesn't exist. So we have some I guess issues with the flight model, but not too big of a deal, or at least when it comes to the aircraft itself, how it is in game. Now that being said, insofar as this aircraft is concerned, I do like it a lot. I feel like it is just marginally or slightly worse, depending on how you look at it, compared to the Eurofighter Typhoon. Now, I don't feel like that's a big deal. I don't feel like it is going to be the difference, insofar as like, oh man, this plane sucks, or this plane's amazing. I feel like you're going to have a lot of people that, like, you know, I feel like more people are probably going to end up liking the Typhoon compared to this, which is fine, of course, but I feel that even though the Typhoon does have slightly better performance, insofar as its top speed is concerned, overall acceleration, and the like, you have these aircraft that are, you know, ultimately, regardless, they are still incredibly powerful, potent aircraft. And so, even though the Rafale is just slightly worse insofar as, again, performance is concerned, insofar as, again, its maybe maneuverability is concerned. And when I say slightly, I mean slightly, like very minimally worse. It's not really all that much of a difference. And so even the radar, for example, might be slightly worse on this aircraft than it is on the Eurofighter Typhoon. But we're talking about very, very small differences. And so the thing that this has over the Typhoon is the fact that this has Mica missiles, which are just phenomenal missiles that I really don't feel like you can say enough good things about. Also, I am out of missiles. This is where having IR missiles would be of great use. Let's see if we can gun them down, and we can. So, that being said, I feel like, yeah, this is slightly worse insofar as an aircraft is concerned. However, its missiles are definitely much better, I feel, than the AIM-120Bs. That being said, let's just go ahead and test out the ground attack ordnance real quick, and that'll be it. Okay, so here we are with the SBU-64s. I like these things, or at least I like the idea of them. We do also have the Damocles targeting pod. Ooh, that is some nice thermal. I'm going to go ahead and just... Oh, okay, so it is acting like an ATGM. Let's fire it. So, oh, there's the rocket assist. So, it's not a very powerful rocket, but let's see what this thing does. Wow, I'm really liking that. So, it does create a nice long trail. That just annihilated that boat. Let's see if I can... Ooh, that's not good. That's not what I wanted. I'm going to try to detarget that. Okay, we can just launch on that, I guess. Then I'm going to go ahead and launch on 4 separate targets here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, we are a little close, so let's see if those maneuver in perfectly fine. And again, you can pretty much expect a very similar 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow. Very capable. Now, you can expect a very similar sort of thing with the other SBUs. So they are all kind of a very similar thing. The only thing different with them is their tracking capabilities. Again, these are IR guided, which is awesome in my opinion. That's my favorite type of guidance in War Thunder, just because it tends to be the easiest to use on a consistent basis. But otherwise, I mean, this is pretty much the Rafale, and I like it. You know, a lot of people, I feel, are maybe not going to like this thing as much, understandably, as the Typhoon. But as I think I said earlier, you really, like, you're not getting a loser with this aircraft at all. I just don't feel like that is a fair assessment. And I feel like, you know, again, I had people in matches before that were saying that this plane is just not that good, which I don't think is accurate. I think it's a very good aircraft. I think it's got very capable weapons. And just because it might be a little bit worse than the Typhoon as of current, doesn't mean that it's a bad plane. So we'll have to wait and see how it is in the live server anyways, because so many things can change between now and then. But otherwise, I really do actually like this vehicle quite a bit. You know, it's extremely capable and definitely a beautiful aircraft. So that said, thanks so much for watching. If you don't mind, please let me know what you guys think about this video in the comments below. Again, check out my other videos relating to the dev server if and when you get the ability to do so. By the way, thanks again for watching, and I will see you all on the other side. Those completely missed, I guess you have to fire from an angle or from an altitude. Take care, everyone.